We first encounter the extraordinary young boxer Yong, just shy of his 17th birthday yet already making waves in national boxing competitions. After celebrating a crucial victory, he eagerly heads home where his mother and younger sister are preparing something special for him. Upon arrival, however, Yong is confronted with a horrific scene, his family lying motionless in pools of blood. An assailant suddenly attacks him from behind, but Yong's combat expertise proves fatal for the attacker as he unleashes his rage with deadly consequences. The narrative jumps forward 2 years to a high school setting. Several students discuss Yong's incarceration on the news. Despite the fact that those he confronted were intruders, Yong's use of his professional boxing skills was deemed excessive force rather than legitimate self-defense, resulting in a murder conviction for the teenage athlete. A reserved, socially withdrawn student named Soo Bin sits quietly at the front of the classroom. Having endured severe bullying at his previous school that left psychological scars, he's gradually rebuilding his confidence with new friendships. The class dynamic shifts dramatically when the teacher introduces Tony, a new transfer student who happens to be Soo Bin's primary tormentor from his former school.
Soo Bin visibly trembles as traumatic memories resurface.
When the teacher leaves, Tony quickly establishes dominance by attacking the existing bullies. He then approaches Soo Bin, greeting him with unprovoked violence. A female classmate intervenes, only to become Tony's next target. Soo Bin, displaying unprecedented courage, pleads with Tony to leave her alone, a decision he immediately regrets as Tony turns his full attention toward him. In desperation, Soo Bin grabs a ballpoint pen from the floor. When Tony dares him to use it, panic overtakes Soo Bin and he stabs Tony in the eye. The subsequent court proceeding shows Soo Bin facing attempted murder charges. Paralyzed by fear and unable to articulate the bullying that led to his actions, he receives a 2-year prison sentence. Following the verdict, Soo Bin boards a transport vehicle filled with juvenile offenders. By chance, he sits beside Yong, making a favorable impression on the boxer. At day's end, all newcomers are assigned cells, with Soo Bin sharing quarters with a young burglar named Min. A fellow inmate explains the prison's power structure. The facility operates under 3 main authority figures: Jun, Akio, and Han. Jun typically maintains order by preventing Akio and Han from abusing their power. Recently, however, Akio and Han conspired to have Jun placed in solitary confinement, allowing them to rule unchallenged, commanding and brutalizing other inmates at will. Yet even these leaders defer to Yong, whose reputation and boxing prowess inspire universal respect. He generally avoids confrontation unless provoked, which keeps even Akio and Han at a distance. On their first day, Min and Soo Bin observe a football match between teams led by Akio and Han. When injuries reduce the player count, Han recruits the newcomers to join the game. Reluctant to cause trouble, they comply. Soo Bin remains mostly stationary during play, weakening Han's team performance. In one anxious moment, he closes his eyes while attempting to kick the ball, accidentally striking Akio in a sensitive area. The enraged Akio later drags Soo Bin to an isolated location with his followers. This scenario mirrors Soo Bin's school bullying experiences, triggering panic and desperate pleas. Their encounter with Yong interrupts the situation, as the bullies immediately adopt innocent demeanors. Recognizing their fear of Yong, Soo Bin breaks free and begs the boxer for protection. Though typically uninvolved in others' affairs, Yong decides to intervene. When Akio challenges him, a single punch sends the bully to the ground, astonishing Soo Bin, who's never witnessed such fearlessness. The prison provides educational facilities for inmates. During class, Akio glares menacingly at Soo Bin, determined to exact revenge since he cannot directly challenge Yong. A guard interrupts, summoning Soo Bin to meet a visitor, Tony. Having lost vision in his injured eye, Tony's boxing aspirations are devastated. His subsequent school suspension has left him destitute and living on the streets. He attributes his misfortunes entirely to Soo Bin and threatens retribution upon Soo Bin's release. Despite Soo Bin's repeated apologies and pleas for forgiveness, Tony remains fixated on eventual vengeance. The following day during class, Soo Bin observes Yong training outside. He realizes that his imprisonment presents a 2-year opportunity to prepare himself against Tony's promised retribution. During a break, Soo Bin approaches Yong, requesting self-defense training. Yong initially refuses, concerned that Soo Bin might become another bully. Soo Bin explains his exhaustion with perpetual victimhood, revealing he's reached an emotional breaking point and can no longer flee from his fears. Recognizing Soo Bin's genuine vulnerability, Yong considers the request, understanding firsthand the experience of helplessness. Nevertheless, to evaluate Soo Bin's determination, Yong challenges him to complete 100 laps within 40 minutes before any training begins. Soo Bin tackles the challenge with unwavering commitment, maintaining his pace despite physical inexperience. Memories of Tony's humiliations and beatings fuel his perseverance, recalling instances where extreme fear caused him to lose bladder control while enduring kicks. The prospect of returning to such a state drives him forward. During the final laps, Soo Bin struggles visibly. Yong suggests he stop, but Soo Bin completes all 100 circuits before releasing a cathartic scream and collapsing, requiring Yong's assistance. This display convinces Yong of Soo Bin's genuine need for help. He arranges with the prison warden, who admires Yong from his boxing career and recognizes his inherent decency, to allow Soo Bin to share his cell. On Soo Bin's first training day, Yong instructs him to perform push-ups. Soo Bin's poor technique elicits Yong's sigh, recognizing the significant patience this teaching endeavor will require. Meanwhile, Akio continues his own training while plotting against Soo Bin, seeking an opportunity when the boxer isn't present. His followers suggest targeting Min to lure Soo Bin away from Yong's protection. Elsewhere, observing Soo Bin's inability to perform even a single pull-up, Yong questions how he survived with such physical weakness. When Soo Bin complains of fatigue and requests rest, Yong nearly reconsiders his commitment to train him. He clarifies that choosing the easier path will result in Soo Bin's return to his original cell. This reminder reignites Soo Bin's determination, prompting continued efforts with the pull-ups. Each day increases the exercise intensity, with Soo Bin struggling but persisting. Physical changes gradually become apparent, validating his efforts. Throughout this period, he and Yong develop a genuine friendship. Outside the prison, Tony regularly engages in street fights. One evening, he single-handedly confronts multiple adversaries, attracting a gangster's attention. Impressed by Tony's abilities, the gangster offers him a position and financial compensation. Initially refusing and even insulting the gangster, Tony receives physical discipline for his disrespect. Given a final opportunity to join, Tony ultimately accepts the position, beginning work with the criminal organization. During a prison lunch conversation, Min informs Soo Bin that Yong's imminent 18th birthday will trigger his transfer to an adult facility. This revelation indicates that Soo Bin will soon lose Yong's protection from Akio, necessitating enhanced vigilance. Unaware of this development, Soo Bin confronts Yong about the impending departure. Yong confirms the transfer, advising Soo Bin to concentrate on training rather than the separation, emphasizing the inevitability of Soo Bin's independence. Concurrent with this conversation, two of Akio's followers harass Min. Soo Bin intervenes when they begin striking him. The aggressors demand Soo Bin's deference, attacking when he refuses. To their surprise, Soo Bin now capably defends himself. Learning of this confrontation, Akio becomes enraged and instructs his followers to bring Soo Bin to him by any means necessary. Caught between two intimidating forces, the followers plead with Soo Bin for assistance. He agrees to meet Akio at a clandestine location. Before Akio can speak, Soo Bin bows respectfully, apologizing for striking his followers while explaining his defense of Min against their initial aggression. Rather than appeasing Akio, this explanation further inflames his anger. The ensuing confrontation demonstrates Soo Bin's improved fighting capability, with both combatants displaying comparable skills. Eventually, Akio prevails, leaving Soo Bin battered on the ground. Just as observers assume the fight's conclusion, Soo Bin rises for a second round. He immediately gains advantage, landing continuous blows until Yong arrives and intervenes. They depart with dignity, establishing that neither should be challenged further. Simultaneously, Tony gains recognition in street fighting circles, embracing the gang's ruthless methodologies and finding satisfaction in this violent outlet. Later, during a final training session, Soo Bin nearly succeeds in striking Yong's face. As training concludes and Yong prepares for transfer, he shares a metaphor with Soo Bin about sharks. They must maintain constant movement to avoid sinking. He advises Soo Bin to adopt this principle before saying goodbye. Following Yong's departure, Jun returns from solitary confinement, promising reduced bullying under his oversight. That day, Han challenges Soo Bin to a fight, offering to cease all harassment if defeated. They arrange to meet behind the warehouse in 5 days. During this interval, Tony visits Soo Bin, having heard rumors about his transformation. Rather than concern, Tony expresses excitement about their eventual confrontation being more evenly matched. The arranged fight between Soo Bin and Han takes place before an audience of inmates. Despite comparable skills, Han ultimately cannot withstand Soo Bin's determination. Guards discover the altercation, placing both participants in solitary confinement. Upon their release, Han acknowledges defeat and honors his promise to end his harassment. Over time, all faction leaders develop amicable relationships, bringing peace to the facility. Elsewhere, Yong trains another inmate similar to Soo Bin. When this trainee contemplates giving up, Yong motivates him by sharing Soo Bin's story. After 2 years, Soo Bin completes his sentence and is released. Tony awaits him outside, intent on delivering a final lesson. Soo Bin questions Tony's persistent hatred but receives no explanation. Their climactic battle begins, with neither initially landing effective strikes. Tony eventually gains advantage, delivering continuous blows reminiscent of their school days. At his lowest moment, Soo Bin recalls Yong's shark metaphor, regaining his resolve. With renewed purpose, he counterattacks, defeating Tony with a specialized technique Yong taught him before walking away from his defeated tormentor. In the final scene, Soo Bin visits Yong in prison, mentioning his observation of a stationary shark that challenges Yong's earlier metaphor. Yong humorously suggests the shark must have been deceased, prompting shared laughter between the friends.